Hello everyone, welcome to SoapUI training. This is a brand new course from IT Learn. So today's orientation session and we'll start this course today. So here I will start with some basics of web services, and then we'll talk about different terms used in web services, and then we'll move to SoapUI, an open source version to taste web services testing. All right. So before starting this session, I have one poll. So just uh, I'm launching that poll. Okay. So please answer that. Okay. So here we go. So on your screen, you can see one questions is there. Okay. So try to answer. We can close in 3 to 4 seconds. Okay, still I can see only 70%. Okay, all right, so another 2 to 3 seconds, I'll close this poll. Okay, all right, so let me close this. And as you can see, most people are here who have experience in software testing. Okay, and very few people who are a beginner, and some are looking for change in career. So people, I'll tell you, web services testing, very demanding career these days, and lot of opportunities are here. Okay, okay, all right. So let's move to our agenda today. So today we'll talk about web services, and then we'll talk about protocols used by web services. Okay, SOAP and REST, and then we'll talk about WSDL. This we call WSDL, WSDL. Okay, and we'll get to know what is WSDL and how we use, and then we'll talk about SOA, Service Oriented Architecture, and why it is required in web services. All right, and at the end of this session, we can have one question and answer session. So let's start with web services. So we have heard a lot of this term services these days or from some time back. So what are the web services? Okay, so have we ever imagined, like, we use different kind of platforms, we use smartphones, we use Windows machines, Windows servers, Linux servers, lot of different platform we use, and depending on different enterprises, they develop their own product on their own language, or you can see there are a lot of languages available they develop on different platforms. So there is a issue how they will interact to each other. Okay, because one enterprises can't make software for their own, they make software for the mass, for the people, so that they can use. So different system, how they will interact to each other, which has been developed on a different kind of platforms. So web service is a, you can say, a method or a function. Okay, which will be, which one software calls a method or function from a different software. Okay, so let me highlight this. One second, team. Okay. So we can say this one is one software, okay, and this one is another software. So how they will communicate to each other, okay? So you can say this one is first software and this one is second software. So how they will communicate, okay? So the suppose this software is sending request, okay, and this second as a server it's sending response. So this software has exposed some functions, okay, or methods to outside world so that they can use without any restriction, okay. So suppose this is method 1, okay, and we have this method 2. So this second software has exposed this some functions of this software or methods so that outside world they can just use this, they can just send request, and this software will process using these methods, and then it will send response, okay. Okay, so let me erase this. Yeah. So as I said, there are a lot of products which has been already developed on old technologies, you can say on mainframe or some uh, old technologies. So how they will communicate to newly developed softwares? So what they do, they expose some methods or function to outside world, and so that this way we can reuse that functionality, okay. So we need not to develop again, and then it's we can use different platforms to communicate, from a Windows machine to Linux box, or from Android operating system, mobile operating system, to iOS operating system, okay. So web services comes in picture, and this actually resolves this kind of issue to communicate, okay. Okay, so web services mainly uses a protocol, okay, and this requires one medium to communicate. You can say a network or internet, LAN or something, so to communicate between two softwares, okay, and it requires one format in which they can send a message. All right. So I hope you are clear with this term services, web services. All right. So web services are two types. Means mainly there are SOAP and restful web services. Okay. So we'll see. So there are two types of web services available. Mostly we are using SOAP, and these days RESTful web services are very popular. Okay, so initially we'll see about SOAP. It's a simple object access protocol, a protocol which most SOAP-based services used, and it also has a benefit, like as I said, we communicate a distributed systems. So this protocol actually gives a way to communicate these different kind of platforms, and it can go through, communicate through, you can say, firewalls or proxies, okay. So SOAP mainly use HTTP to transfer data, okay, hypertext transfer protocol to transfer data from one software or one machine to another machine. And it uses XML format to encrypt data, or to send the or to transfer data from one software to another software when you send request. All right. So this is the benefit of SOAP. It can communicate to it is a platform independent, and it can communicate to one software to another software, and it can communicate through firewalls, proxies. Okay. And restful web services are architecture style. Okay. uh, it uses simple HTTP protocol. And so here the benefit of the restful web services are, it's a lightweight. Okay. It directly use HTTP protocols as compared to SOAP. It first it use envelope, SOAP envelope, to encode that message. It has different parts in that message. We'll talk about WSDL after this. But before that, RESTful web services can support a different kind of format in which they can send messages. Okay, like JSON, XML, and some other format also it uses. So we'll talk about RESTful web services in much in detail in coming session. But here we'll talk mostly about SOAP based web services. Okay. So let's move on the next session. That is one second. Yeah, WSDL. So WSDL is Web Services Description Language. It is the, actually you can say, a backbone for any web service. All right. Uh, Whenever I talked about how uh, softwares are based on different platform, how they will communicate. So they require a medium, okay, like internet or intranet LAN, okay, to communicate. But to send all the details about uh, web services, this WSDL contains all those informations. Okay, what kind of methods available? I told you that any web services expose some methods of functionality of this software to outside world. So this WSDL actually has those information. What kind of methods are available, what operations to perform, all the definitions. Okay, this WSDL has those information. So it's a XML based language. Okay. You can will see about this the uh, WSDL document. We'll see about this. But before this, it's XML based language which we can use in a decentralized and distributed environments. Okay. So this also has one benefit, like SOAP. It can communicate. It is a platform independent, language independent. Okay. So let me show you some example of WSDL. So if you go to web services .net, you can find a lot of WSDL here, means a lot of web services here, and you can copy this link here, and you can if you can paste here. See, so if you are not aware of XML, so don't worry, it's a very simple. Okay. And we can generate our own tags. There is no predefined tags. Okay. So on the basis of our requirement, we can generate our own tags. So just go through this. It's a simple XML file. Okay. It it has a lot of information about that web service. Okay. What kind of message it should have, and what kind of operation it can perform. So those kind of information this WSDL has. So we'll talk about, and we will use most this WSDL in coming sessions. Okay, so before proceeding, let me launch one more poll. Okay, so just to get the sense, means the audience, how much experience you are in web services testing. All right, so we have only 50% votes. So
Manoj, sorry to interrupt. Folks, whoever is complaining that cannot hear, uh, probably it's problem from your end. Can you just re-log in again? Then you will be able to hear it. There are 4 or 5 folks who are saying they're not able to hear.
okay, uh,
Well, thanks.
yeah, please check at your end, as Sankur said. Okay, all right. So I have here, okay, almost 100%. Okay, so most people, I can say 52% people say they are not aware of web services testing. Okay, and 48% they are aware of web services testing, but they are not expert, or they have not done much on that. Okay, okay, thank you for this. Uh, okay, so I have closed that poll. So we were talking about uh, web services description language. So as I said, it is the most important part of the web services, and we'll talk about more in coming sessions. All right. So let's move to next, and we'll talk about SOA. So SOA is actually a service based oriented architecture. Okay, and you can say it's a collection of services. It's an architecture which has many collection of services. So initially, as I told you, there are heterogeneous distributed platforms in our network. So how they will communicate? So actually, this architecture style resolves that issue, how they can communicate to each other. Okay, so as you see here, a technique that involves the interaction between loosely coupled services. So what does it mean by loosely coupled? Okay, services are different platforms like Windows platform or Linux or mainframe. So they doesn't really care about if you change some web services on Windows platform. Okay, so it doesn't affect on the Linux uh, server web services. Okay, so it doesn't actually depends on other web services if you are doing any modifications or any changes. So they don't much need to take care by the one web services. Okay, so let me give you one example here. So suppose this is a Windows server. Okay, and this one is a Linux server. Okay, so it has Windows machine has some methods. Okay, exposed to outside world, so that they can call and they can use this. All right, so I can say this is method 1 and I can say this is method 2. So if this on this platform, Windows platform, which modified this web services, okay, to some extent. All right, so this this machine which is calling these methods doesn't need anything to do. Okay, they know the location of the server. Okay, they know the visual. So they will not do anything from on this platform, because it's a loosely coupled services. Whatever they have modified, it will be on that Windows platform, and they can easily call. So in terms of sending request or calling that method, this Linux box doesn't need to take care anything or doesn't need to modify anything. All right. So I hope this makes you clear why this SOA is required and how it resolves the problem we have in a practical world. So in daily practical life also, we use different kind of web services, but we don't really care, or because we don't know. We daily use Google. Okay, so if you go to Google and you just type weather of California or weather of any city, so it will just display that temperature for that particular city. You go to bank or you bank ATM, you withdraw money, okay, or you change your pin or password. So means in a instant you can get message on your mobile phone that this particular transaction has been done on your account. Okay, so this lot of examples are there if you see in our practical life. All these what I told you examples, all these are using web services. Okay, so actually this SOA architectures solve this problem to communicate with a different kind of platform, different kind of machines, different kind of systems we have in our practical life. Okay, so we'll talk about more in details in coming session. Okay, so I think I am almost done, and we can have one, if you have any questions, so we can talk about that, and you can raise your hand, I can unmute you, or you can put your message in chat. Okay, so let me check if you have any questions here. Okay, so I some folks are saying they can't hear, no audio, but I think some other people are able to hear. So please check at your end. Okay, so I can see there is one questions. When there is any change in the methods, don't we need to change the WSDL? So isn't that leads to change the way communicate with the changed methods? Okay, so yeah, you are correct. Okay, so Bhagya, you are correct that we need to modify WSDL, or how client can know that what kind of operations that other machine is performed or performing, or what kind of message they have updated. You are correct, but the second platform from where it is calling that web services, that software doesn't need to do anything. They know the WSDL, they know the server location. Okay, so that they just need that WSDL, you can say a web services location, so that they can just call. Okay, so it's a service provider who actually takes care this to modify or to update this WSDL and provide to client. So client didn't need to take care anything about this. If the server has changed something in their methods or their some part of the services, they have modified messages or they have modified some functionality. So client just require that WSDL. Okay, they don't have to do at their own anything. So the next question is, what are the prerequisites to learn web services testing? So Upendra, I can say there are not much prerequisites, but you must be aware of some terms like XML. So you must have knowledge, some little bit knowledge of this web services. All right. Uh, Means what it is and how it works. Okay. So mostly we'll see how we test web services in coming session using open version of SoapUI tool. All right. So for prerequisites, you must be aware of, means not must be, you may be aware of XML or some HTML. Okay. So that we can just relate when we'll talk about these terms, you can just relate those things. Okay, so next question is, SOA is only for SOAP UI or it is independent? See, SOA is not only for SOAP. SOA is you can say architectures, okay, and SOAP and RESTful web services are kind of web services, okay. SOAP is a protocol, okay, which mostly used by SOAP based web services, and RESTful web services are very you can say a new way to build web services and uh, communicate. Okay, it's a light, actually it's a lightweight compared to soap based web services. So there is means, so why is architecture, means how we to resolve so many issues to communicate with different platforms. Okay, and soap and restful are the protocols based on, means on which web services has been developed to communicate. All right. So next question is, when we have to test a RESTful API, did the developer give us the whistle? Yes, it's correct. So as I said, whenever service provider expose or some methods or functionality of that software to outside world, they have to provide this whistle to client. Okay, so that this whistle knows about the location, methods, messages in that particular web service. So service provider has to provide this location of this you can say WSDL or location of that web server, so that the client can in call and they can use this. All right. So here I just explain more what service providers does. They can directly give it to a client. Okay, this WSDL they can client can directly use if they knows WSDL. Okay, otherwise there is a entity UDDI, internet based directory. So it has a lot of it's a directory of web services. So service provider, what they do, they just register their web service on this UDDI. All right, and then client can search on this directory and they can use the web services required for them. All right, or as I said, they can directly give it to client. Okay. So next question is, which version of SOAP UI are we going to work? So Hari, it will be a latest version of open source SOAP UI. All right. We'll see SOAP UI Pro also in this training in coming session, but we'll start with open source version of SOAP UI, and whatever the new latest version will be there, we can use that. So we all info will be available in this visual. Yes, every single information this visual has to communicate or to send request and response, what kind of methods that service performs, what kind of message it should has. So all this information this visual document has. Okay, so the next question is, for the next session, do we have to have SoapUI Pro installed on your machines? Yes, for the next session, I think not required. For the next session, we'll see how we can download SoapUI. We'll talk about not pro version. We'll use open source version of SoapUI. Okay. So if you want, you can install. Otherwise, I'll means in the next session we'll see how we can install, and then we'll proceed from there. Do we need any scripting experience for web services testing? If you have any experience, it is good. Okay. But here in this session also we'll talk about Groovy scripting language, okay, which is mostly used by SOAP UI. So we'll talk about this Groovy from scratch, okay. So if you know any scripting language, that is good for you. But if you doesn't know, so don't worry. We'll talk about much in detail about this Groovy language. Okay, so there is one question from a client perspective, how different it is to communicate to a SOAP versus REST-based web service. So client that need to take care this, like whether it is a SOAP or REST. Okay, so clients should have if you talk about SOAP-based web services, they will have WSDL. Okay, it has each and every information. RESTful web services have WADL, okay, web applications description language. Mostly, it is used by RESTful web services. So, if they know this WSDL location or this WADL, I think they don't require much information other than this. Okay. So, next question is from SOAP is architecture and collection of services. So what are the services include? Tejas Tapaswini, SOAP is not architecture, it's a protocol, which is the web services developed on using this protocol. They so it has some format, it has some way to build web services on this using this SOAP protocol. Okay, SOA is actually architecture, as I explained you earlier. So for any services to communicate on the internet on or intranet, okay, it requires one medium, one protocol, one format to send message. So in SOAP based web services, SOAP is a protocol which defines how they will communicate to each other. All right. So in the coming sessions, are you going to talk about what kind of testing to run on WSDL? See, Amli, we will use this WSDL to test any web service. Like I just show you this WSDL. Okay, so we'll take about this WSDL in practical life also. Developers give us WSDL, and we use this WSDL to test that web service. So if you go to this website, you can find a lot of web services available here. A lot of WSDL documents are available here. You can just take, and we don't need to worry about much, means how where it is located or how it is. We just need to know this WSDL, and we can traverse through this WSDL document, and you can see a lot of information here. It's a simple document. All right. Okay, so does automation covers? It is not clear to me, Nilima, but from my perspective, we'll talk about more Groovy language, and we will develop a framework on this using Groovy on SoapUI. So we'll see how we can develop data-driven framework to test web services. and a lot of things we'll cover in coming sessions. All right. Next question is, are we going to work on XSD and how to identify errors against this? So we'll talk about this, okay? But mostly will in these sessions we'll mostly work on WSDL and then SoapUI, Groovy language, okay, and different concepts in SoapUI, okay. So if you will see about this, you will find time, then we can talk about this also. So there is another question from Hari. Also, SOAP requests can we validate against the XSD whether the format needs node element or correct format, etc. So we'll talk about this, Hari. Okay, but there are a lot of people who are very new to this web services testing, or you can say SOAP UI. Okay, tool for to test web services. So we slowly move, and we'll see how we can get a different concept in SOAP UI, okay, tool, and how we uh, develop a framework using Groovy. So, but some these advanced concept we'll talk about, but I think most probably in the later in these sessions. Okay, so another question from Shruti. What are the challenges when performing web services testing using SOAP and REST protocols? Okay, can SOAP UI used to test RESTful web services too? Yes. This SOAP UI we can use to test SOAP, okay, SOAP based web services, and even if we can use for RESTful web services too. Uh, there are a lot of challenges, uh, like to develop a framework to validate that web service. So there are a lot of uh, things we'll see in coming sessions. All right, and we'll talk about how to work on that, how to resolve that. Okay, so the next question is how to decide where to use SOAP or REST protocol. So Tapaswini, it depends on the organizations which are developing these kind of web services. So for testing perspective, we didn't really care means how they have developed, or how they decide to develop SOAP or REST protocol, means REST full web services. Uh, but mostly nowadays, I think organizations are moving to RESTful web services because of different advantages it has. Okay, so they have a lot of things are there. They decide and they develop their web services based on these protocols. Okay, so next question is how do we know when to use SOAP and REST? Same questions I think I have already answered. Is there going to be any live project? Do we need any prior XML knowledge? Sona, I think live project will take means new web services, I think, in sessions, coming sessions, and live project you can there's nothing planned like this, but we'll see if it is required, or our approach will be like a project live project only. We'll take new projects and new web services to test, and we'll see. So yes, a little bit knowledge of XML is required. Okay, so if you didn't know also, don't worry, we'll talk about this. So does SOAP UI supports only Ruby language? Reena, yeah, I did not say about Ruby. I said about Groovy. It's a Groovy, Groovy. It's a Groovy language. Mostly we use in SOAP UI, okay, for a scripting purpose. So how we can download REST protocol? You don't need to download REST protocol. We need a WSDL, okay. Uh, this kind of document we need to download or we can have uh, while testing any web service. All right. Okay, so next question is what exactly do we test when we say SoapUI testing? So now seen we test web services, okay, and we get this kind of visual, okay. This tells a lot of about any web service, what message it has to perform, as I earlier explained, what message it has. So using SoapUI, we'll test web services and we require this visual, okay. So uh, I'm not good in Java since my background in Oracle. Does it Groovy language required any Java or C background? So Hari, I can say if you know any object-oriented language like Java or C, so that will be good to understand that Groovy. But if you didn't know, don't worry really about this. We'll start from scratch, and if you just know the simple any scripting language, that will be enough. Uh, Also, if you didn't know, so uh, don't worry. We'll see how we can uh, write scripts, okay, and we can use in our testing. So we'll talk about lot on these topics. So next question is, as a tester, when I am asked to test whether RESTful API is working, what kind of positive and negative testing to perform? Okay, so Amli, this will talk about more in sessions, but just for your information, uh, we'll have this visual document or WADL document, okay, from the developers, and we can experiment. We can have in SoapUI, okay, and we can see the we'll send request to server, and we can vary our kind of data, okay, so that we can test extensively that web service. So we'll see. We'll talk about this how we'll test different perspective of any web service. Okay, would this service this course will good for any non-technical person trying to step as a tester in IT industry? Yes, of course, Sona. I think web services testing are very in demand, and it is didn't require any previous knowledge of are you from a testing background or you're from QA professional. It didn't means really needed. If you have ability to learn quickly and you have just simple knowledge of some terms, okay, so before starting the sessions you can just go through that, and you can have you can go through in sessions and you can practice, okay. So how visual and WADL is different, and what are the differences? So Tapasini, I can give this task to you. Go and find. I already explained about visual, okay. So visual mostly we use in SOAP, okay, and these days RESTful web services use this WADL. All right. So differences you can find. Just go and search about this. So all right, I don't see any other questions here right now. So if you have any questions, you can write to. I'll put here this. Uh, you can send email if you have any query about this course, okay, and about any other information do you want. So you can just send this email to this on this learn@itlearn.com, and If you have any query, you can just ask. Our team will reply. Okay. So that's it from my side, and the demo session will start from Monday. So thank you very much for joining this session, and we'll start uh, the sessions from Monday, and we'll talk about more about SoapUI tool to test these web services. Okay. So if you don't have any questions, we can just wind up this session. Okay, so there are some couple of questions. Working with SOAP and REST are the same or different? So Asifa, I don't see any much different, or you can say much difference in working in SOAP and REST. But the way it has been developed, so we need to, okay, so we need to take care that how uh, kind of testing we can perform on these particular services. So we'll talk about this more. All right. So about how much time do we need to invest for this course? So this course will be for 10 to 15 hours. Okay. And you must have received the schedule for this course. Even you can go on our website itlearn.com, and you can have you can just go through the course content, and you can have just go through the schedule. All right. So open, as I said, we'll have 10 to 15 sessions to complete this course. All right. So the same question from Venkat also. Okay, so EDDI is a directory. Okay, so where service providers put their web services like Visital, they have to register their Visital or WADL on this directory. It's a global directory, and any client which they want to use, they can go to this directory, and they can just they can search for that particular web service, and they can use. Okay. So about course fee and others, means related to pricing and course fee, you can just contact to our team at learn@itlearn.com, as I put in chat. So you can just email, and you can get the all the those details. All right. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining this session, and we'll have sessions from the Monday. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye for now.